You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for another Tiffany's Take, where I go over a question that you ask. So if you want to have your question answered on the podcast, go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/Ask Tiffany, and I'll be happy to answer. So the question that we have today is, should I prioritize saving or investing or paying off debt? So this is a very, very tough question because it just depends on who you are, what your goals are, and what you're trying to accomplish. But generally speaking, okay, you want to do a combination of all of the above. All right. So let's just look at saving, for instance. Okay. So you should prioritize saving if you have nothing. Okay. So if you are the type of person where you have not saved yet, you're starting at zero, or, you don't have quite enough, then make sure that you are prioritizing that saving, because what you will notice and what we're seeing now is that inflation's going up, people are losing jobs, and things like that are happening. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for those situations. And the only way you can prepare for those situations is by saving money. It's not investing or anything like that. It's actually having something to fall back on that you can have access to immediately. And so I would suggest, if you have nothing, then make sure saving is pretty high up on your priority list. And you can do little goals, small goals at first. So maybe you're starting at zero. Maybe your first goal is $500, or maybe you're at $500. Your next goal is $1,000. Your goal should be to get to at least 3 months of expenses saved. And like I said, that depends on the person, depends on the job and all that stuff. But that is a good rule of thumb. And if you aren't there yet, at least get up to 1,000 is my suggestion. Now let's look at investing, right? If you are if you're working, if you have a W-2 and your employer matches, you should be putting in up to the match regardless of where you are with saving and paying off debt. Okay. And so that's why I said a combination of the three. If that is the case for you, I would highly suggest going ahead and putting in up to the match. So what do I mean by up to the match? If your 401k plan at work says, oh, we will match, let's say 50% up to 6% of your salary, then guess what? You should be putting in 6% of your salary, because that is free money that you can have that you do not want to leave on the table. I highly suggest, if you have access to a 401k plan or any type of retirement plan through work and they match, put in up to the match. Now, if that is not available to you, let's say you're a full-time entrepreneur, okay, like myself, then what I do is I put a certain amount, and right now I'm only doing $25 a month, just to be honest with you, $25 a month into my investing account. Why? Because that's what I can afford right now. And so that $25 a month, something is better than nothing. So if you don't have access to a workplace plan and you're like, Tiffany, I don't know if I can squeeze out anything, then start off with something small. $5, $10, and just have that automatically going into your investment account. Okay. And when I'm talking investment account, I typically do a retirement account. So I have that money going over into a Roth IRA. Okay. All right. And then let's look at paying off debt. Now, this has become super important recently, especially in the high interest rate environment that we're in. And so if you think about it, debt is becoming more and more expensive, even as we speak. So it's very important that you pay off, especially high interest credit cards. So if you have high interest credit card debt sitting out there, go ahead and prioritize that, okay? And I say that because if you think about it, for instance, if your interest rate is 27%, that's $27 of every $100 that you have sitting on that card that's going to the company, and it's pretty much lost money for you. And so you want to make sure that you keep that lost money down as much as possible. And so I would highly suggest paying off, especially the high interest debt. Now, if we're talking about houses where the interest rate isn't that much, or even student loans where the interest rate isn't that much, and you don't have any savings, then prioritize saving. If we're talking about high interest credit card debt, then you might want to prioritize that. And you can have all three of these going at the same time. I do. So I'm saving every month, I'm investing every month, and I'm paying off my high interest credit card debt every month. So it is possible, but you know how you know if it's possible for your situation? You have to get that budget down and see where you are and see how funds can be allocated. I promise you, it is possible to do all three, even if you're in a situation where you feel like you don't have any money. I'm sure there's some money you can squeeze out from somewhere that you're overspending in order to make these goals happen. And going back to goals, it just depends on your goals. So everything that I'm saying here is generalized, but you don't have to really choose between the three. You can have all three, or two of them, or one of them. It's completely up to you. You just have to figure out where that money is coming from. All right, that is my answer to that question for Tiffany's Take. Like I said, if you want your question answered, please go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/Ask Tiffany, and I'll be happy to answer for you. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.